Hello, 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 hello. It is 5:30 on a Monday evening. What are you doing? You're watching How It All Works. Listen, folks, this is episode 16, our finale, part 1, episode 16. Can you imagine? Like, we've been at this for 15 consecutive weeks, including this week. That's 16. That is amazing, right? That is amazing. Some marriages have not lasted that long. Okay, we'll leave that one. But man, listen, I'm so excited for this episode, just kind of to recap and to go through some of the things that we've experienced together on this journey. Let me throw this slide up here. Look at that. So just take a look at that. That is amazing. All of those different panels, from Livestream Breakdown, Photographer's Delight. We had the web constructors, behind the scenes of TV and movie production. All I hear is podcast this and podcast that. Voice, the first instrument in broadcast, the music production masterclass, and we had the audio engineers. That is amazing. Amazing that we had all of those people, and that's just the first 8 episodes. We still have 7 more to cover in our on part 2 of our finale. So excited that you're here. Jump in the comments even now. Let us know where you're watching from, and share with us some of the things that you appreciated about season 1 of How It All Works. I see Pierre Quinn is in the comments. He says, amazing job this season, Kirk. That's my guy. He is backstage ready to go. He's one of the guests that we'll have on today. So excited about that. Here's who we're going to be hearing from. All right. So we've got Brian Taylor, Chris McNish, Kirk Nugent, Andy Russell, Pierre Quinn, Audrey Johnson, Gail Murphy, Mario Maitland, and Anthony Corns. And man, I'm going to just get right to it because we don't have a whole lot of time and we want to hear from them. So my first guest that I'm going to bring on screen is Doctor. We see when we're in official capacities, I've got to call him Dr. Bryant Taylor. BT, what's good, sir?
Man, it's BT. I'm still me, man. I'm still me, Kurt. I'm still me.
Listen, man, it's so good to have you. And man, listen, from that first episode, it was electric. I mean, it really was. It was electric how we started off with a bang. Really, what people don't know is that me and you had a conversation, and you were saying, "Hey, man, we want to have this." We want to have a discussion of people who do live streaming on a regular basis.
Right. Yeah.
And we want to share with folks tips, tricks, best practices, that kind of thing. And I was like, man, I've got a show that I'm about to launch, and I want to use that idea as my first episode. And you were like, well, all right, man. Well, all right. So you want to do it next week? So what you guys don't know is that question BT posed to me is the reason why we started when we started. Memorial Day weekend, right? Back in May. Yeah. So today's Labor Day, the grill is going outside. People are pumping some music. They're with their family. And we were all huddled around StreamYard talking about live stream. And we had, man, who do we have on there? It was Horain Henry.
Horain was with us.
Yeah. Gary Saunders.
We had a good show.
Man. And Kyle Davis from Oakwood, and then we had Rowan Wellington,
and Rowan was with us. Rowan was here.
Man. So BT, give us just I remember so many things from that show. What's one of your most favorite, one of your iconic moments from that episode? Something that we were able to discuss. I have one in mind, but I want to hear from you. What was something that really resonated with you in that show?
I think the one that stuck out the most was the horror stories that came to us.
That's exactly that is exactly the part that I was thinking about as well, man. That was crazy, man. Kyle talked about being on a campsite and somebody driving a stake through the fiber connection to the entire campsite, and of course that cut the live stream. These are the little known things that people don't.
The other one, my man was doing the stream, and the pastor had been preaching, and the pastor knew he did not know he didn't have any audio. They had to quickly try to find somebody. I think they called the first elder and said, "You need to turn your camera on and go preach a sermon right now."
Man, listen, talk about thinking on your feet, man. Talk about thinking on your feet.
Yes,
That's
sir.
so good, man. That is so good. Give the people just one nugget of wisdom as it pertains to live streaming, as it pertains to, what helps a production to go well. I know you have your signature phrase. As me and you have been on several panels together, and I'm good with that. But I want you to share with people, something that really enables things to go smooth for a live stream.
So if it's truly going to be live, if it's truly live, it is preparation, preparation, preparation.
Preparation, man.
You
Listen,
can't prepare enough for that live show.
straight up.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
preparation.
Man, that's, as a carpenter's son, we, believe in the idea of measuring twice and cutting once.
That's right. Measure twice, cut once.
Yeah,
Yes,
man,
sir.
preparation, you have to be prepared. You've got to be prepared. You don't want to leave anything up to chance. You don't want to, kind of fake it or, yeah, we'll figure it out as we go. No, you
Yeah.
want to have your run sheet. And you have to be flexible too, you got
Yes,
to be flexible
yes.
too. But yeah, there's a lot that goes
that
into
one
it.
and letting your guests know what's expected of them.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, being very upfront, man.
Yeah.
That's good. Listen, for all of you guys that are out there that are watching, and maybe you didn't see that first episode, right? Yeah, maybe this is a time to kind of go back. I mean, it's a
Go
shameless plug, but it's a time
Go
to go
back.
back and catch that first episode, man. And every business, every organization, every institution is going live these days. Live video and live streaming is the name of the
Yes.
game. If
Yes.
you're in a Zoom call, you are live. You just let that settle on your spirit for a second. And so these tips and tricks, these best practices, they still apply even to your Zoom call. Now, you may not have any shorts on. I don't know. BT's in a public place. I'm at home though, so you don't have a clue. but you definitely want to be you want to be prepared. You want to be
Well,
dressed.
and if you do have them on, just remember that when you step up from the camera,
Yes.
the camera still shows.
The camera still shows.
Yeah, the
Yes.
camera still shows.
Yes, and it may be even worth your time to walk your kids through the whole process of you being on a Zoom call or web conferencing or anything like that, man.
Yes, yes,
Woo,
yes.
man. So BT, listen, we're gonna move right on
Oh, man.
to our next one. I know, man. Yeah, this is the pace today. This is the pace today. It's quick and it is crazy. What I'm gonna do actually is we're gonna bring Anthony Corns on screen. Anthony had the distinct pleasure of being one of our winners. So in those first few
Yes.
episodes,
Yes.
for those of you who didn't catch it, again, I'm giving you that little plug to
Yes.
go back.
Yes.
For those of you who
Yeah.
didn't catch, so in the comments, Kanika saying always wear pants. And then with a number of people, David Hunt, Gaston Pierre, several people are saying excellent season. So I appreciate you guys for that. But if you didn't watch those first few episodes, we came out of the gate with some surprises. We came out of the gate
Yes.
with
Yes.
prizes for our audience, and so I want to bring Anthony Corns on. He was one of the winners for we gave out several prizes. We gave away 1 year of Flickr Pro. We gave away 1 year of Ecamm Live Pro.
Ecamm Live, yes.
I
yes.
struggled with that one because I actually just paid for my subscription, and I was like, I'm giving this thing away. I need to get this for myself. But we also gave away 1 year of domain hosting, and that went to Anthony Corns, and I'm glad
Yes.
that he was able to join us. He was also a panelist on the photography show, and but we want to bring him in real quick. BT, if you have time, BT, stick around, and we'll make sure we'll
yeah.
get you back on here in a second. And here is Anthony Corns, the man with the plan.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Anthony, man, I'm glad to have you back on the show. I know you were in that photography episode.
Yes, I was.
You were also one of our winners, right? And so,
Yes.
some people are not even certain. They're not even sure what it means. What is 1 year of hosting? What is that? So, tell the people a little bit about what that means. What is 1 year of hosting?
Yeah, 1 year hosting. So as you may not know, every website has a domain name, and every website has to have be hosted on some type of server, whether that be your local server or someone else's server. So
Right.
the hosting, I want a free somewhere I could host my website for free for a year, basically. Oh, sorry about that. They're probably doing some tests, but so I
Is
was
that is
that for a year.
is
No,
that from is that from somewhere outside?
no, that's my building, and they're probably running some tests.
Ah, okay. Hey
So,
man, listen. This
so
is what we were talking about a second ago with BT. This is what you got to deal with when you go live, right?
you never.
Everything is live. You got to be able to roll with the punches. You got to be able to move with this thing. Real quick, Anthony. In the comments, some if Pierre Quinn says insider trading, Kanika's like, let me get that. And then somebody else is like, Anthony, you're showing us up. Why you got all that stuff on your screen?
I'm trying to be humble.
No, you're a humble servant.
I'm trying to be humble, bro.
If you say so, man. So yeah, so hosting, yes, hosting.
Yes, so got it for a year, and what I did with that was, as I spoke with you, I'm working on the project, which is an online course teaching people how to live stream.
Nice.
It's called I don't have the image with me right now, but I'll pull up in a second. But the course is entitled Mastering Live Streaming, and so basically,
Yes, sir.
is just take people who don't know anything about live streaming and just educate them and help them understand, the basics, and help them, just go from not knowing anything about live streaming and taking them to mastering live streaming. So we'll be taking them understanding cameras, understanding lighting, audio, all these different tips. We're walking through them step by step. So it's not just a slide presentation where you just go and just look at different points. We're actually walking you through step by step and
Right.
actually touching these products and showing you menus and settings so you can identify exactly how to do these things.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. So, folks, look out for that site. This is
Yes,
what
so-
we're about here at How It All Works. We
Hoping
not
to launch that sometime the end of January. So
Yeah.
that'll be something that we got going on soon.
So he has 1 year of hosting from DreamHost. And
Yes.
that's
That came clutch.
that's the impetus. That's how you get your stuff started, man. That's really good. A couple of people in the
Yes.
comments are saying, "How can you be humble with a boom arm?" Nah.
Man, these are just simple things, man. Simple things.
Yeah, Tom Joyner. Andy Russell says Tom Joyner is gonna ask to join his studio. Listen, Anthony. I'm gonna bring the doctor, Chris McNish, on here just
yes.
now, and then I'm gonna have you stay just for a second while we recap and recount what happened in our second episode of the season, which was the photographer's delight, is what we called it. Photographer's
Yes,
delight,
yes.
and we have the maestro from Sweet Gap.
Yes,
Chris
yes,
McNish
yes.
is here, and we're just so excited to have you,
Yes,
Doc.
sir, yes,
So, man, Anthony, if you're, I don't know if you have time, but if you can stick around, I want to try and bring everybody back on screen towards the end, at that time. But I'm gonna drop you back screen if you don't mind right now, and we're gonna see what Mr. McNish has to share with us from that faithful episode, the Photographer's Delight. Thank you so much, Mr. Corns.
All right.
Man, what's
Man.
going on, man? Can you hear me?
I can. I know it was Fast and Furious, bro. I just like, hey, man, he's here. Let's get him on screen, man.
Yes, sir.
Oh, man.
Yes,
so
sir.
listen, man. So we had, what was it? Okay, that was the second episode of the season. That was Photographer's Delight, and we had it was Anthony Corns, who just was on screen. We had Chip Dizard, we had Mr. Chris McNish from Sweet Gap Photography. Then we had Gianna Snell, and we had Neville. Man, why is Neville's last name escaping me? Give me Neville's last name. Simpson. Neville Simpson. And man, we just had an excellent conversation about all things relating to photography. So, man, how have you been? First of all, let me just make sure, start with the pleasantries. I lived in Africa. You have to ask these questions when you live in Africa. How have you been,
I'm
man?
good, man. I can't complain, man. Even during this coronavirus season, man, God has been blessing, so I can't even complain.
Listen, I have, man, that's been my testimony as well. He has been blessing, and so good to hear that. But Chris, man, so listen, I know some crazy things have taken place in your business and with photography since the show. Talk to us a little bit about that. What's up? What's going on with Sweet Gap?
Well, Sweet Gap, we do photography and videography, and
Yes.
I was able to work with the JD Doggett
Yes.
last week.
Yes.
We were able to do something that, with this paradigm shift, man, JD's just trying to stay ahead of the curve.
Yes.
And we're able to do something with him, man. I was able to put a team together with a great gentleman, man. His name is Bill Swaggart.
Oh, nice.
And we shot with a red, man. So can't wait for everybody to see that, man. And we're excited about that. And great message. The message is potent. And then just shot some images, to complement the message. So I can't wait for you guys to see that.
That is so perfect, Chris, because in our episode we talked about imagery. We talked about I think Gianna Snell showed a photograph of one of her clients who was a cancer survivor, and she had done this smoke thing with her, and we were talking about the impact and the role that those kinds of messages play in the photographer's life, right? Talk to us a little bit about that and some of the things that you remembered from that episode and that discussion.
Well, that's big imagery. We did talk about imagery and the role that it plays, because we are given the responsibility to capture time in just one moment. And those are the moments that we're going to remember. It's the evidence of what we remember. Throughout time, we talked about storytelling and how things were passed on from generation to generation. Both of you and I are, we have West Indian background, and, sitting around the table, listen to our uncles and grandfathers tell these great stories that just gives us a great feeling of our culture, great pride of our culture. So as photographers, we use that same thing where we're capturing images in time that is the evidence of this actually happened. So we're like the gatekeepers of what happened back then.
Oh man, that's good, man. That is really good. Yeah. I'm telling you, folks, the episode, what you're getting right now is a snippet, right? And maybe we need to, set Chris up to have a show of his own. I don't know. I don't know. But you need to, you owe it to yourself if you did not go back. If you haven't watched the Photographer's Delight episode 2 of How It All Works, then you need to go and do that. Trust me, it was not just about photography. Yes, we talked about some of the technical pieces. Yes, we talked about equipment and gear. And we geeked out on that a little bit, but we also talked about imagery. We talked about representation. We talked about even up to social justice and the impact that photography has played. I mean, to be honest with you, we would not have these images, these videos that is sweeping the nation, that wrenches our hearts, that grips us to our core, right? We would not have them were it not for the practice of photography, were it not for these devices that we walk around with. And so we talked about some of those aspects of photography as well. And like I said, man, Chris McNish is one of the best to do it. I can't thank you enough for taking a minute out and just coming in here, chatting with us a little bit, man.
Yes, sir.
I mean, listen, we're at 5:48, so I'm doing well on my time, I think. But I'm also trying to be mindful that I've got a lot of people to try and catch with. And the next person that I need to bring on screen is man, whew, I know I tried to get her number earlier. Tell you what, man, I think I might I think I might shoot my shot. I might shoot my shot. They passed it to me in the paint, right in my area. I might have to shoot my shot. But man, listen, I'm gonna bring on Kirk Nugent from Composition LLC. And yes. And so what followed the Photographer's Delight episode was the Web Constructors episode. And oh man, Chris, listen, I appreciate you so much for joining. I don't know if you have a little bit of time to stick around toward 6:15 or so. I'm going to try and bring everybody back on screen to just chat it up a little bit. But if you don't, I understand. But man, I can't thank you enough for taking a minute out, coming in here, chopping it up, and reminiscing a little bit about that second episode and some of the powerful, impactful things that we talked about in terms of Photographer's Delight. Sweet Gap Photography.
Yes, sir. And I got my fingers crossed for you on this next person you're interviewing, man. Fingers crossed.
I appreciate you, Doc. I appreciate you. Look, man, you got to have people in your corner.
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. All right. So Miss Nugent, Miss Mighty Nugent, how are you today? I wonder where you're calling from. That's a really good background right there. That looks good. Looks good.
Thank you. Calling from the Nugent household.
Good. I think your volume's a little low, but I'm good. I'm gonna throw up your lower third here. And man, listen, folks, yourcomposition.com. Yourcomposition.com. And somebody's probably in the comments saying to themselves, what is this? A man and wife on screen. Listen, at the end of the day, right? I had a show on web constructors. Who better to have on that show, and who better to bring back on my show to recap, right, what happened with the web constructors than the web designer in my own house. Kanique Mighty Nugent is the Chief Creative Officer for Composition LLC. She is my boss. Under that brand, we do some media consulting, we do web design, and let me tell you something. We had a blast in that episode. So we had who was all on that episode? Keisha Wheeler, Ian Callender, Stephen Adetumbi. Yes. And that is the show where Anthony Corns won the 1 year of hosting from DreamHost. DreamHost is no small, player in the field, folks. This is a big name on the street. They're right out there with Bluehost, with GoDaddy, and all the rest. So we were excited to be able to partner with them. Man, there's just so many different little nuggets of wisdom from that episode. I particularly like the way you guys described the domain and your hosting. Could you share with the folks a little bit of, that description of the domain and the hosting?
Definitely. So when you think of your domain is your address to your house. 11 Patana Lane, that's where we live. That's your URL. That's added to your house. But when it comes to the actual files, your pictures, your documents, your content, that's where the whole thing comes in, because that's what houses all of that content information you have. So the two work together, but they're two separate things.
Right.
So when you're thinking about getting a website, you have to have both. You can't just have one. You can't just have your domain.
Right.
You need to have somewhere to put all your content information.
Folks, listen, we broke down several concepts like that. We talked about being able to scale, and in fact, Kanique was one of the ones that shared a story about one of her clients. In this case, it was Oakwood University Church, who, because of the pandemic, there was a huge influx and a demand, I should say, for their live streaming services, so much so that they had so many people visit their page, they had to up to the next tier to ensure they had a dedicated server. I mean, this is the type of work. These are the types of nuggets of wisdom that we hear on the show from people like Kanique and others who are experts in their field. Was there anything else that stood out to you from that episode, Kanique, that you want to share with the people, stuff that would kind of prompt them to go back and avail themselves of the knowledge that is the Web Constructors episode?
I would say we gave a lot of helpful information, and we also broke it down in layers for a regular person to understand all of the things that comes into creating your website.
Right.
It can be a little bit for the regular person to just say, okay, what's the dedicated server, what's the VPS? We broke that all down for you so that you, as regular users, can understand and have some kind of idea of what goes into creating a website.
Excellent.
Check out that episode. It was a good one.
That is the point, folks. Go and check out the episode. If you see me shifting my eyes, it's because I'm looking at the time. But go and check out that episode. I mean, really, it was phenomenal. There's that. It was one of our smaller panels. We didn't have the full 5 people plus me as the host. And yes, it really enabled us to have a much more in-depth conversation, and we may be playing with some of those kinds of formats in season 2. Did you hear me? I said season 2. Just because we're having this season finale does not mean we are done. Okay, season 2 is coming, and let me tell you, Greater things are in store for season 2. Kanique, thank you so much. There is Dr. Corns in the comments right now saying she does great work. Pierre Quinn is asking who does these layouts. That would be Composition LLC. So you need to come check us out. And not just the layouts, but the overlays with the lower thirds, Mr. Quinn. So come check us out. But let me see who else is in the comments here. Just want to. David Hunt is saying gold. He said the boss is in the house. Camilla, one of our one of the members of our late night Friday crew. She's like, Kanique is the best. And then of course BT. BT is definitely giving you some high praise in the comments there, saying Kanique does great work. Of course, Valencia is going to come through and say amazing work, sis. So we appreciate, man. We appreciate. Thank you so much for taking a second to jump in here with us. Now, let me see. I believe after the Web Constructors episode, we had the behind the scenes of TV and movie production. And so we have somebody who is a great friend of both Kanique and I, and we are excited to bring him on screen right now. The man himself. Andy, insert nickname here, Russell.
What's up, y'all?
What's good, man? Listen, so Kanique, we want to say a word of thanks and appreciation for just coming and chopping it up with us. And of course, if you guys don't know, there's nothing that I can do without the backing and support of this strong black woman that God has blessed me with. So just wanted to say that publicly for everyone. But I am going to try and see if we can hold Andy to 5 minutes. We'll see if we can make that happen. Thank you so much, babe.
I agree. I agree. Kanique's the best. Kanique is a beast, and you should walk down the hallway and get those digits, Kirk.
I'm gonna try and do that, bro. Listen, that's a part of my plan. That is a part of my plan. I'm gonna get this thing done today.
Yeah.
But man, listen, Andy, you are so. Tell us first of all, where are you right now?
I am at NBC News right now.
He is so, folks. Can we just pause here? Okay. We had a full episode where we talked about behind the scenes of TV movie production. Okay, Patrick Altima. We had Fernita Buddy, but I believe her Fullwood. Fernita Fullwood is her new last name. Andy Russell. We had Ralph Jean-Pierre, and then we had the professor himself, Dwayne Cheddar. And man, we received, it was like drinking from a fire hose that day. I mean, I think it was one of our first episodes where we had to beg the audience for more time because we ended up going over a little bit, but the stories were so rich. And the visuals and the whole behind the scenes concept really struck a nerve. Andy, is there anything specific that stands out to you from that episode? Something that you remember that you could highlight for those who are watching today?
Yeah, just a couple quick things. One was something that was implied that day, but that was explicitly said today. Always wear pants during production. That's number one. All right.
I love it.
Number two was also something that BT mentioned at the top of the show, which was be prepared. Do your homework going into any given production. Be prepared so that you're not caught unaware. You're not wasting time. You're not wasting money. And people want to work with you again. And that's key.
That's the key.
Major key alert.
A big nugget right there.
Big nugget. Another thing that came out of that conversation that day was to consider the people that make up your crew and figure out who's supposed to do what, who goes where, and where you fit in. Excellent. The machine only works if you know like where your strengths are and where you're supposed to fit in. Everybody's kind of doing their role in any given production, right? That goes across the board, from film and TV production to web design or podcasting. Just know where you fit in and know what works.
Podcasting is next. Continue.
Next. One of the other things that we discussed that day is also being aware of the narrative, the story, why you're telling it, and having a motivation for what you're doing, whether or not it's in pre-production, in production, the shots that you're getting, or the decisions that you're making in the edit as well. Having that motivation to make sure that what you're doing makes sense and that people can kind of consume the content you're creating and leave better for it at the end.
Ooh, that's good. Leave better for it.
Yeah.
My goodness, that's good. I mean, so one of the things that really stood out to me was, of course, you with your unique vantage point being in news, you talked about the fluidity of it, right? Of needing to be able to shift on a dime, specifically with, let me replace dime with tweet, being able to shift on a tweet, right?
That's
because
right. That's
depending on what comes out on Twitter, your news headlines might change, and so having to be able to be versatile and nimble and being able to shift. But I also really enjoyed you particularly shared about some of the work that you do with students, and them interning with you there even during the pandemic and understanding how to put together a package. Talk to us a little bit about how that has gone.
So the students I work with this summer weren't actually here at NBC.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
an adjunct faculty member for Syracuse University, and I work. They have a graduate program in broadcast and digital journalism.
Yeah.
And every year, every summer, the students come here to DC and kind of do a capstone project in DC. But of course, this year it had to be remote, which made it even more difficult, but even more of an adventure, just
Right.
because the way news is done is changing. You mentioned being able to pivot, or having the necessity to be able to pivot on a tweet.
Come
right?
on.
And of course, we have a tweeter in chief in the Oval Office
Come
right
on.
now who kind of dictates the way that news moves.
He does.
But also, in this pandemic, with things having to be done remotely, there's a little bit of extra work that's having to be done to make sure that you can schedule the Zoom calls, to make sure that
Yes.
like your FaceTime or Skype calls or whatever else you're using, your StreamYard calls look good. They
Yeah.
sound good. To make sure
Yeah.
that you can still use the resources you have at your disposal to still meet deadlines, because while the equipment is different, the resources are different. The deadlines are still real. The deadlines are still real. Like, they're still
The
there.
deadlines aren't going anywhere.
Right,
folks.
and the standard, the quality standard is still somewhat there.
Oh,
right?
my
and
word.
so to make sure that you can still meet those things, to make sure that you can still have independently verifiable sources to be able to reach those people and meet those journalistic standards is. I mean, it's still necessary, and so the students now had to learn what needed to be done now in this COVID environment to be able to produce news, and what it's likely going to look like once they enter the field.
The film.
It's changing.
Right. Wow, man. And it's amazing, especially as things open back up. We're definitely going to have to revisit this conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe even try to do a round 2 with that entire panel. Let us know in the comments if that's something you're interested in, because we definitely want to hear from them kind of where things have gone. There was a lot of uncertainty, to be frank, about what was going to be happening next as we had that episode. Man, let me say something here. Let's look here. Let's see here. Wow, Andy, you're sounding more and more like your dad.
Got it honest.
Keston Pierre is like, I knew someone was gonna say it. I think he was talking about Kanik's comment. BT is like, people want to work with you again. That's major. Now you shared this with me before we went live, that BT is your uncle, and I mean yes, I knew that, but I only knew that recently, and I've known BT for quite some time, and of course I've known you and your family for some time, so it's just crazy how.
Well, I told you that to kind of make it make sense that I'm here on the show. I put
No.
I put BT as my uncle on my resume.
Listen, DRBT, man, that's my dude, man. Listen, Andy is here preaching. Yeah, people, major key, be prepared. Audrey saying that's good. Leave better for it. Woo! I'm telling you, that's the tweet right there, folks. Go put that out there. Put hashtag HIAW as well. Professor Andy, Sweet Gap says round 2. Camilla says round 2. Kanik says round 2. Pierre's like, BT is the plug. Okay, man. Listen, Andy, I appreciate you so much. I know that your evening is just about to kick off. You're still at the studio. Hopefully you have a free moment. But if you can stick around, I would like to bring everybody on screen once we get towards the end of this thing here. But we are getting ready to transition. Listen, folks, before I bring one of the members of our podcast episode to the screen, I just want to make sure you guys know that all of these videos are available at howitallworks.com. It's right there on the screen right there. How It All Works. Works is spelled with an E.com. All of these episodes are available right there. You don't have to go searching for them. You can go to youtube.com/Kirk Nugent, and you will find a playlist that just has those in there. But if you go to howitallworks.com, all these videos are there. And this one in particular, this was, what was this, episode 4, I think it was. of the season, and we talked about behind the scenes of TV and movie production. It was phenomenal. And as you've heard from Andy today, you would hear more of that in that episode as well. Andy, can't thank you enough for taking some time to come out and just chop it up with me a little bit here. Oh, look, there's our guy, Mr. Quinn.
One last thing, just wear pants. Okay.
Yeah, wear pants.
Yes, man. Pants are on.
It bears repeating.
But we appreciate you. If you can stick around, we'll bring you back on in a little bit. Pierre Quinn.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Man, dude. All I hear is podcast this and podcast that. That was the title of the episode. Yeah. And we had, who do we have on that episode, Pierre? Who was with us?
RK3 was with us.
Yeah. RK3. Robert Kennedy III. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. We had Ali and Denise from
Denali. Denali. Yes, that's true. So we actually had 7 people on that episode.
Yeah, that was some maxed out. That was some maxed out. Yeah. Yeah, Kimon Hines was with us.
Yes, Ideas to Life. Yes, RK3, Kimon Hines, the Denali. We had you, and then we had. I'm seeing if you remember, Raise Your Voice Academy. Jamie Kalasar.
Of course, the doctor.
The doctor.
The doctor. Yeah, the doctor himself.
Yeah, man, that was a great episode. Great episode, and we had a really good time, man. So many nuggets of wisdom. I remember one thing in particular that I literally went back, watched the episode, and wrote down for myself. And it's a point that you said, actually, where you were talking about ways to get guests for your show. Yeah, and you were talking about something that you do with Amazon. Share that again with the people.
Yeah, so man, in this world that we live in, whenever someone comes out with a good, a product or service, everybody needs marketing. And I found for my podcast, especially early on, growing a podcast, trying to create a name and a niche, I would go on Amazon and I would seek out people who were in the middle of releasing a book. So their book had recently come out maybe a couple of months ago, or the release was a couple of months down the road. Yes. And I would just hit them up and say, hey, I see you're coming out with a book, or I know you recently published your book. Congratulations. Would you love to come on my podcast? Or would you be interested in coming on my podcast to talk about your story and leadership? Because my podcast, the Leading While Green podcast, is about leadership. And I found so much traction in people who are actively seeking marketing and awareness for what they're doing for their book, and then what I was doing. So, man, I tell that to anybody. Amazon's new release list is a gold mine for so many things.
Somebody is running to grab their pen and paper right now, and they're thinking to themselves, how come I didn't hear this before? It's in that episode. Yeah. It's in the podcast episode. It's there. You got to avail yourself of this information. For those that were there, you remember that was the light. The light went on for all of us, like, whoa. And it was like right at the end. I was like, it's almost like you interrupted me to share that. We almost didn't catch it. It's like, what? We almost didn't have that in the episode. It's like crazy. But man, talk to us a little bit about some of the other things that were shared. I mean, we talked about different platforms, Anchor, several other, Robert Kennedy talked about some of the automation things that he is doing to streamline the whole podcast setup. Talk to us a little bit about some of the things that you remember from that episode.
One of the things, Kirk, was really big is, we wrestled with the reality that we, at one point or another, we're all overthinking it. Yes. Like so many of you watching right now, hanging out with us live, maybe you're watching the replay, maybe you're watching this at 2:00 in the morning and you're thinking about putting together a podcast. You are overthinking it.
Yes.
You are overthinking it. If it's
somebody put that in the comments right now, you're overthinking it.
Yeah. If it's GarageBand, if it's Anchor, whatever it is, if it's the voice app on your phone, just hit record and start sharing with the world. You're overthinking it, and someone needs to hear. Yes. Whatever your genre is, whatever your discipline is, whatever your industry is, a podcast is a great compliment. I don't care what your industry is. And I don't even care that there are a billion other podcasts out there, because especially during COVID, listenership and viewership on all platforms skyrocketed. Yes. And there is somebody out there who is waiting for the content that you're looking to put out. So stop overthinking it. Grab Anchor, grab GarageBand, YouTube. Grab How It All Works. Grab the episode where we talk specifically about the tools, and we talk specifically about our process. Yes. And when you listen to that, you're going to be like, whoa, that's it?
That's it.
It's really that simple.
I mean, I think you were talking about recording some of them in your car because the car has some really good acoustics, and I thought to myself, that's so true. Anytime I get a new, well, back in the day when you get a new CD, nowadays it's like when the MP3s drop, but when you got a new CD, you put that thing in the car. You had to listen to it. The car was the best listening experience. I was like, that is so true. So man, talk about nuggets, absolute nuggets of wisdom. I mean, just absolute gold. And what I loved about that, the transition from the of course the TV movie production into podcasts, and then into voice being the first broadcast and the first instrument, is just like that natural progression into that conversation. And it was just such a good compliment. And this is the reason why, how it all works is binge worthy. Okay, we want you to somebody put that binge worthy #binge worthy. Okay, because you can't really. You gotta watch the next episode. Okay, so I'm gonna bring my good friend from WJLU on screen with us, Pierre, and that is General Manager Audrey Johnson. And man, Audrey, we're excited to dive into your episode, the podcast, the voice episode. But I wanted to say a word of thanks to Pierre, man. Let me say this publicly to everyone, man. It was while being a guest on one of Pierre's broadcasts that I recognized that I was not doing several things that I needed to do. And I just want to say publicly in front of everybody, affirm you, brother. Thank you so much for setting that stage, creating that platform for creatives to really think about what God has called us to create, and kind of laying the charge almost, put a little fire under me, man. I couldn't sleep at night, brother. So I appreciate you for that, man. Love you, fam.
Man, happy to be here, man. Love you too, bro. Good stuff. Keep it going.
If you can stick around. We'll bring everybody back on screen here in a little bit.
Absolutely.
Audrey Johnson.
Hey,
Audrey with two
I'm
E's.
trying to make sure. Audrey with two E's. That's not my government name.
Audrey with two E's.
That's what we go with.
Listen, we going with it.
Thanks for having me. I mean,
oh man, so
I'm in the middle, it seems like, of all this goodness. This is good stuff.
Man, I am just overwhelmed and excited. Yes, everything. So who was on the episode you were with? Who do we have on? I remember clowning. A lot that episode. That's what I can tell you for sure. We had a blast.
Yeah, Damian Malone.
Damian Malone was there.
Anthony
That's true.
Perkins, David Person.
Yes.
Alvin Chia.
Oh, the voice.
Yes, the voice.
The Alvin Chia from.
Yes,
oh,
the Alvin Chia.
My goodness.
Was that it?
That was it. No, that was it. Yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it.
Hear me well?
I'm hearing you.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Man, what's so interesting is that all of you talked about different facets, which what I noticed as I went back through that episode was legacy, owning and being protective of your legacy. Your voice will live on long after you're gone. It was one of the phrases from that episode that just really stood out to me. You talked to folks a little bit about voiceovers and radio, and some of the things that you stood out to you from that episode.
Well, that actually was one of the statements that I made, because I'm very particular about where my voice
Yes,
goes.
it was.
Yeah, and so I think it's necessary to be that way, because it's going to be here after I'm gone, and just making sure that whatever you're doing matches what your thought process or what your belief system is, because many times we'll do spots or we'll do voiceovers and we'll forget that we did them, but they're there. You know how the digital world works now. Nothing dies. It just stays, right? And God forbid you go into a political arena and someone pulls that out and be like, what was that? And so, I mean, if it's important, if your if your legacy is important in that way, then it's important to protect it. But that was an amazing episode. We talked about doing some of the simple things, and not always thinking you have to have big gig. Doing some small gigs. People ask me all the time, how do you get into this industry if you're just wanting to do voiceovers? Fiverr works. Starting there, that was one of the things that we talked about.
It does.
just to get
It
your
does.
skill set up, learning your voice, learning how to use your voice in different ways, because there are different types. You may do a serious or a funny, or you may have to, if you're doing this as Alvin does on a daily basis, there's cartoonish. And so you have to be able to know what your voice will do. And the only way to do that is to use it on a regular basis, record yourself, get used to hearing yourself, and figuring out what works and what doesn't. How it all works.
Right. How it all works. I love that. I love that. You know what when you said it comes, you know, sometimes you will do a recording and not remember exactly that you did it. I think on the show I also demoed a piece that you did for me, and which you were not expecting, which I thought was hilarious. But other thing I also remember from that show distinctly was Alvin Chia talking about having the tools for your craft at home. And I thought that was powerful.
Yeah.
If it's worth doing, if it's worth mastering, if it's worth having the tools at home. And he talked a little bit more about being not really getting to the level that he wanted to until he began to understand the technology behind all that he was doing. I thought that was phenomenal. Go ahead.
COVID has really put that into play. I mean, really has.
Yes.
Like even now, I have a backpack that I carry everywhere. It's in my house or it's in my car. I've recorded spots in my closet since COVID has happened, because you just have to be prepared, and you never know when
you do.
You just never know when you're going to have to do something. And then, you know, if you shut down and you can't go to the studio, then I have to be able to do it at my house and make the best of the situation so it can be produced. I mean, and it's true. I mean, we at WJOU, we don't just do radio anymore. We're doing visual. We're not just connecting the ear to the heart, we're connecting the eyes as well. And so radio is not just turning on an analog station anymore.
Really good.
Yeah. And so we have to be very cognizant of that. Like our video equipment, my camera, our lighting, I have to have that at the house as well as at the station, because you just never know when you have to drop something. Wow. As Andy said earlier, news, we're not a news station, but we have to be relevant. And so things change on a dime, and you got to be ready to change with them. Yeah.
Ready to pivot, man. That is so good. There's nothing but gold here. Nothing but gold. Folks, that episode is also available, howitallworks.com. You owe it to yourself. Voice as the first instrument and broadcast, you owe it to yourself to take a listen. And I mean, it's such a great segue into our next piece. I'm going to bring Mario Maitland on from our audio engineers episode in a second here, but I wanted to read some of these comments. Man, a lot of comments. Binge-worthy. I got a couple of hashtags for binge-worthy, teamwork, peer pathfinder. Binge-works. Donnell says binge-works. I like that hashtag. That's good. I'm keeping that one. BT says Audrey has taken the radio station to the next level. And let me say, Audrey, I have to back up BT on that. I really do believe that you have brought a different touch and feel to that radio station. Definitely building on the shoulders of those who went before you. And I think that's also something that's evident from your time, from your tenure in the position as general manager, is a healthy respect for those that went before. But definitely, and in fitting, Gaston Pierre says legacy. David Hunt says legacy. Denali says that was the episode that got me researching another stream. Hashtag voiceovers. Wow. So yeah, man. Gaston Pierre says all gigs matter. I like it.
They do.
All gigs matter. They do. Yeah. They do.
Because
nothing dies.
You never know who's gonna hear that gig. That small gig can turn into something huge.
It's true.
If you're too big to do the small ones, then why would I hire you from the big ones?
For the big one. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So, see what I'm talking about? This is what we're talking about. This is if you're watching this is your first episode, you've never watched How It All Works before, and you're trying to figure out, man, this is this is all over the place. It doesn't seem like it's disjointed. The point is, we explore different careers, different skill sets, different vocations, different disciplines, seeking to understand how it all works. That's it. And we're hearing from experts. That's what my commitment to you as a viewer, as a watcher, is that we will bring experts on the show, folks who do these types of things and this type of work regularly, to talk to them about how does it all work, to give us a peek behind the veil. And with that said, I want to bring on Mario Maitland from Maitland Conservatory. He is with us, and thank you so much to Mario for being here. But again, a word of sincere thanks and gratitude, Audrey, for. I mean,
Mario's one of my son's teachers, so we're happy he's here.
Listen.
It's good to be here.
It is phenomenal.
You guys having me on.
Thank you so much, Kirk.
It's such a small
thank you.
world.
It is too the world is way too small. I mean, when you really add it all up, it's like, what in the world, man? It's like, man, the circles just overlap like 4 and 5 times. But Mario, wow, man, it's been a crazy episode thus far. We're already at 620. I'm actually skipping one of the episodes. We skipped the music master production class, and we had Gail Murphy on tap for that, but I don't know, maybe something has happened. She wasn't able to make it, but I'm glad that you're here and ready to chat for just a second about the episode that you were on. The audio engineer's perspective. That's the episode we were on, and we had Donnell Josiah, we had Everett Gillen, we had and I'm dropping names from.
I mean, you've talked to a lot of people today.
Yeah, I'm dropping names from my mind, and those names are not names that I need to be forgetting. But Marlon Daniels was another, and we had one other guy. But anyway, what the point was, we were completing the set. You know, we had talked about TV movie production. We had talked about podcasting. We talked about voice being the first broadcast and the first instrument. Then we were coming into music master production class, and we had all those pieces there. Then we had this episode with you and the crew, and we were talking about the audio engineer's perspective and all of the different things that go into the audio engineer's life and what they do. Talk to us a little bit about that episode, some of the things that you remember that were impactful to you.
I mean, it was such a great episode. I think what I loved about it the most is that every engineer had a different perspective to bring. People, when they tend to think about audio engineering, they think about it from just one singular perspective. They don't think about it from the recording side, from the live side, from the post-production side. They don't think about all the different things that go into it. So I just loved all the information that was shared, particularly from the live engineering side, just what goes into preparing for a live sound production.
Absolutely.
What all you have to think about, even including going to the rehearsals. So you know what the band is going to do, what the artist is going to do, what the singers are going to do. So that not only are you running the sound, but you are completely engaged and immersed in the production as well.
Absolutely.
Because you get to help create that show and create the dynamic response that's going to come from the audience as well. One of the other things we talked about on the recording side that a lot of people, they kind of, it's a thing for me I don't like to hear, but a lot of people like to say, well, we'll just fix it in the mix.
Yes.
We'll deal with it later. You know, I'll throw some auto-tune or Melodyne on it. But, you know, one of the things we talked about in that episode was making sure that you try to get and capture the best recording first. Try to get the best take first. Everything else is icing on the cake.
Yeah.
You want to enhance what it is that you've got in your hands. You don't want to try to polish and fix and piece together, so on and so forth. Try to get the best take.
So good. Oh my goodness, so good. You know, we one of the things I think Marlon was the one that talked about. Somebody asked him in the comments. They were like, "Ask Marlon how many cymbals he has," and I think he said something. What was he? 70 or something like that. Some crazy number. In his line of audio engineering, he does provide back end or backhaul. Backline is the term. You see, I'm a novice. I sit at the feet of the masters here, but and he was saying how that was a necessary part of the business he had to build out, was having these, because he was finding that the drummer was showing up later to the production, and it was throwing off his entire timeline. So he began adding that, and it was a huge blessing for the production, because he could have it there and have it tuned and have it ready, and then the drummer could just walk in and start playing. And man, I just said, man, it's so phenomenal to hear all of this stuff from the different perspectives, that all the people that play a part in a production. And I loved some of the things that you were sharing about the conservatory and what you're doing with music, instilling it in the next generation. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Well, I love to come from another angle of education.
Right.
You know, a lot of times, especially, and I'm just going to be candid, especially just in our demographic in our world, we like to rest on talent a lot of times. And talent is great. Don't get me wrong. There's God-given talent. There's gifts that you've been given. But we also have a responsibility to delve into that talent more and seek out the education behind it.
Absolutely.
Now, to everyone else, you know, finding that education is very difficult sometimes, especially in the creative world. Yes, you can find places to go and take piano lessons and violin lessons. But where can you go and take live engineering lessons? Where can you learn how to mix and master if you're not on the collegiate level? Everybody doesn't have that ability to go to a college and study those types of crafts. So I get the opportunity now with Maitland Conservatory to bring all of these creative industries to people who may not be able to access it any other way. Now you can get off at 5 o'clock and you can come and take music production. You can come and take mixing and mastering. Not only that, because of our partnerships that we've created, like our most recent one with the University of North Alabama, now we have scholarships that are available just to Maitland students to go to college.
Excellent.
So, you know, we are able now to provide all of these different things through Maitland Conservatory, and we're expanding. I didn't get to tell you last time, but we are looking at now opening a location in Birmingham as well as South Carolina. So we've got a whole lot of things going on right now, and we're getting to take that brand and really reach a national audience.
One of the burdens that I have, and it was really, I'm sharing this with everybody publicly now, but a lot of the people who were on these different episodes, they know the story from behind the scenes, which is my attempt has been to always ensure that there's female representation on all of the panels. This episode was one of the ones where we did not, we were not successful in doing that. And it was not for the lack of trying. And some people may say, well, you need to broaden your circle, because I know a lot of female engineers that are out there killing the game. But let me just be clear. It wasn't that I didn't find them. Some were not necessarily, some of them just had other commitments. Some of them didn't want to be on screen. But to be honest with you, there really wasn't a whole lot. And I love what Mario is talking about right now when he's saying the next generation, when he's saying to build into students, to help them to get access to these tools, to be able to get training in these specific areas. We need to have more women in these areas, man. I think that, they have the ear for it. They definitely have the skill and talent for it. So why don't we have more women? This is something that I'm excited about Maitland Conservatory and the fact that they can champion some of these ideas for us. Mario, man, I cannot thank you enough for taking a second to chop it up with me here. Wow. Talent plus education, details matter. Preparation is preparation for the unexpected. Man, there's just so many. Speak to that, Bryant says. Mix and master without needing a master's degree. Wow. I'm super duper inspired. Andy Russell says, congratulations. Valencia is asking, is any of this stuff in Jersey? So, we have people out here who are like, man. And then Valencia is asking, and maybe you can just answer this as we transition into the last piece of the show here. Absolutely. How young is too young to expose your children to this? Talk to us.
Yeah. I don't think that there's such a thing necessarily as too young. There may be a too young to start applying what you learn, right? But exposure goes such a long way. I shared with you in that episode when we talked that my whole journey started in the 4th grade because a man came to my classroom and played the violin and was offering after-school violin lessons. Yeah, that was my first bit of exposure to it. Yeah, and that's what took me on this journey. So I think as young as you can, expose your kids to music, the arts, the creative arts. My son now, because he's around this all the time, he's 8 years old, and I catch him on Logic creating tracks.
There you go.
Now trying to make movies with his Legos. So,
yes, I love that.
He's talking to me about downloading stop motion apps so that he can animate his Legos, and I'm like, what is that? Oh, okay. Now I know.
There you go. You
never know. You never know.
Listen, there's some other questions there. One of the things I loved about what you said is that in the episode you were on, you shared your story. Did you catch that, folks? In the episode he was on, he shared his story. Go back and watch the episode. Somebody's asking, do you do virtual courses?
We do.
And the answer is yes. BT actually answered him in the comments there. So we're having some robust back and forth in the comments, and I love that. Mario, thank you so much. I'm going to bring you back on in just a second when we do our wrap up. Folks, it's your boy Kirk. I'm trying to clean up this screen here real quick. Wow. That was season 1. That was season 1, and it was a lot. I want to play a clip. Miss Murphy was supposed to be with us. I'm going to play this clip. I know I'm over my time, but yeah, isn't that a thing now, right? I'm going to play this little clip from the Music Master Production episode. Mama Murphy, again, I hate to put you on the spot, but it just blessed me so
On the
much.
spot.
Okay. All right, the song is called A Heart That Loves. This was my answer to the cruel death of George Floyd. So, here we go. Give me a heart that loves when my own heart is hurting. A heart that loves when I'm broken deep inside. I need a heart that loves when I want retaliation. My broken heart can't take this anymore. Give me a heart that loves when my own heart is angry. A heart that loves when I'm screaming deep inside. I need a heart that loves when I've seen too much injustice. My broken heart can't take this anymore. Change my heart. Take away the bitterness. Oh God. Change my heart. Cover with your righteousness. Oh God, please use me. Change my heart. Take away the bitterness. Oh God, change my heart. In you I know I'm free. Oh God, I need a heart that loves. A heart that loves. Wash me again, change me inside, Jesus. A heart that loves. Oh, give me a heart that loves.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Wow. 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 From that little clip that I put together. In fact, that was the episode where we started to snip out clips, what we call it HIAW snippets, clips from the different episodes that were just so impactful, so powerful. When I put that clip together, I can't even say the name of the company, but somebody hit me up and was like, man, you guys should do a reaction show, a show where you just play songs and you can see people's reactions to the songs. If you watch the back of the clip, of course, it's on howitallworks.com, howitallworks.com. But if you watch back that clip, you'll see the rest of the panelists having what I call is just natural reaction to the impact of the words of the songs. In that episode, I know we don't have Gail Murphy here with us to talk through some of those pieces, but what I can share with you as we were chatting last week in preparation for today's show is that in that episode, she talked about going on a journey that Wayne Buckner had gone on. Wayne Buckner did a song a day for a year, and so he's got 365 songs. And so she talked about wanting to do a similar journey. And so she said, okay, God, a song a day. She shared with me this past Friday. She was saying God told her, you think all I can do is one song? So she said, okay, 2 songs a day. So God said to her, you think that's all I can do is 2 songs? So she's like, okay, God, however many you, and so she began that journey shortly after our episode. And She said to date, she was talking to me this past Friday. She said to date I have 220 songs. Wow. 220 songs. And in that episode, we talked about the process of writing a song. Where do the words come from? What is the story behind the song? And does every song have to have a story? And several really powerful experiences were shared around the writing of songs. You owe it to yourself to watch that episode. Folks, we're right at our cutoff time. I know some of you in the comments are just like, what? You take your time. We ain't going nowhere. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I really do. I'm going to bring everybody back on screen, but I want you to see this flyer. Next week is part 2 of our finale, and that is the finale. I know that this is part 1 of the finale, but part 2, we will talk about entrepreneurs, the entrepreneur episode, the YouTube episode, the big 3 episodes, social media, PR, and branding, the home tech and smart stuff episode, the educational technology episode, the technology leadership episode, and our episode that we had last week, the public speakers episode. And I'm looking forward to, again, doing this same thing where we bring people in from all kinds of areas to talk with us about the experiences that they had during the episodes that they were on. And I'm so excited to be able to bring that to you as we close out this season the right way. And right now, I know some of them are not even ready, but I'm about to bring all of them back on screen. Those who are still in the studio with us, I'm going to bring them all back on screen for just a moment as we prepare to close. Yes, here we are. Here we are. I don't know. Did we get everybody? I think we got everybody. All right. One there. I believe I'm getting some feedback from somebody. Just going through there it is. Andy, thank you for that. But everybody, just wanted to, again, just bring everybody back on screen and for us to just chop up a little bit. I know I talked to each one of you about your specific episode that you were on, but was there something from a different episode that you saw that really touched you and something that was impactful for you? Talk to us a little bit. Anybody can go. we got a case of being the silent treatment.
I don't.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Now, I was just gonna say I'm glad I was off screen when she did the song a second time, because the first time I didn't make it, so I'm glad I wasn't on camera this time when she sang it.
Wow.
Because the impact of that song, so many things have happened this season.
Yeah.
That have impacted lives to cause people to create.
Yes.
And I just want to tell you thank you, Kirk, because you have opened the door and pushed people to do things that they never thought possible before.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I want to echo that as well too. I think that what you're doing is so important because you're giving people and you're exposing people, that key word that we used earlier, to what exists behind the scenes. Oftentimes, people don't think about creating a career in the creative arts. We tend to think of it as just something that already exists. Particularly my guy right there that works for NBC News. I mean, all we ever think about is the anchors that we see on the news. We don't think about who's putting those lower thirds up there, who's putting those headlines up there, what all goes into that. And of course, for me, coming from the educational perspective, exposing not only kids but adults as well to what is out there and people that are working in these real industries is so important. So Kirk, I mean, we just really thank you for exposing the general public and the masses to what's out there.
Thank you.
I'm going to echo that too, Kirk. I have a philosophy of life, and I think it's been honed in even more during this year. There's nothing that God has gifted me to do that I can't share. There's room for all of us. And I think it's important, and I take it seriously because I've been in this radio industry for over 2. There aren't many people in spaces where we get to travel. And so if I can bring others into our space, I think it's just vitally important. And exposure, like Maitland said, Mario said, the quicker and earlier I can expose you, the more you have to choose from. My 3-year-old niece goes to the studio with me.
Yes.
And she plays with mics now. And I'm okay with that because I need her to know the world is your oyster.
Yes.
And especially as a young Black woman, I need her to know that now so she has options when she gets older. I've been exposed just by, being in the same area with different people, with you, to different things that I may not have been exposed to before. But it's my job, and I really take it seriously to give back. There's nothing that I know that I can't share because my gift is my gift, right? And you can't do with my gift what I can do, but you can do what you're supposed to do. And so
well said.
That's one of the things I don't hold back on that at all, because I think that's what God has called us all to do.
Excellent.
I'd like to quickly second and third everything that was just said. Kirk and Kanique, I've been watching you all over the years, since before you got married, and seeing how your young family has grown. And I agree, like what you've created here is, for this time and this space, a phenomenal contribution to this community, and something that's so worth it for so many people, for exposure, as Audrey and Mario just mentioned. For exposure is invaluable, and I'm excited to see what comes next out of this and the connections that people have made down here in the comments.
Yeah,
it's been phenomenal. But also, I just want to say, I missed the episode that Mario was on, and listening to him talk is going to make me go back and watch that episode. Absolutely. Because I said in the comments, like, I'm inspired. It's super duper inspired to go see what can be done, especially with what he's doing with providing pathways, and for a lot of people, alternate pathways to the same greatness. And that was great to see. It was really good. It was really good.
Powerful. That's powerful, Andy. Yeah. That's powerful, to the same greatness. Woo! Okay. Anybody else? Listen, I'm drinking it in.
Yeah, so much, Kirk, man, to share and to unpack. And I'm thinking back to the voice episode, like voice as the first instrument.
Okay, Kanique, we can't hear you, but I know you're trying to speak. But go ahead and finish up here. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what I really appreciate about that episode, and really get some perspective for all of them, is in that episode, everyone just kept saying, kind of just start with what you have.
Yeah.
Start with what you have. Start where you are. If it's just on Fiverr to get your feet wet into the voiceover industry. And I thought about all the other episodes, and for all of the creatives who have been a part of this and those who are watching, listen, folks, as soon as you start, that puts you ahead of so many more people. As soon as you start, that puts you ahead of so many more people. And if you want to stay ahead or stay advancing, turn around and teach what you learned from the moment that you start.
There it is.
As soon as you start, you're ahead. And as you keep teaching, that keeps putting you further and further ahead. So yeah, I got that from the voice episode, Absolutely. But it applies to all of us.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one more thing. It was really great getting to connect with people in the same field that I typically would not get to communicate with. So it's really good to be able to sit down with them and kind of say, oh, you go through that? I go through that as well. And kind of share our experiences. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And being able to connect with them after the episode to kind of collaborate on different projects as well. I really enjoyed that.
Excellent. Yeah. That's a whole nother piece, a fringe benefit of being on the show. Ali and myself, Pierre, we have this running joke that the after party on StreamYard is always better than the actual stream. And let me tell you, some of these episodes that we had were just like, where I'm looking for the record button. I've actually submitted a feature request to StreamYard asking them to allow for you to be able to record after you've gone offline, because once you've gone offline, you don't have the ability to do that anymore. But we'll see if they actually listen to my cries, because that, I think, is just phenomenal. But man, you guys are pouring in, and again, I don't want to cut anybody off. Anybody else that wants to share, please do so. I see your comment. Sell tickets to the after party.
Back up what Nick said about collaborating and being able to be in the same room with people who are doing the same thing that you do. When we did the photography session, just being able to see or hear the stories about how they take a particular shot, or how they were able to compensate that photo. It was just great to be able to be on that show with them.
Excellent. Yeah, that's good. Iron sharpens iron, man. No
Absolutely.
doubt about it. No doubt about it. Well, listen, I'm not going to hold you a whole lot longer. I just wanted to bring everybody back on screen and to say a word of thanks for not only being on the original show, also for coming today for today's show, and for your, just words of kindness. Denali is saying I would pay to be in every last one of them. He's talking about the after party. But yeah, it's just amazing what all can be accomplished. So one of the other questions that I get regularly from people is, how do you know all these people? Like, where do you get these people from? I'm like, these are the circles I play in. But also, you have to be intentional about meeting people. That's one of the episodes that didn't make it into the lineup for season 1, but definitely will for season 2 is networking. And again, it's just something that I know. I grew up with a master networker. He never knew that. It wasn't something that he was trained in, but the man just knows how to network. I mean, he taught me, let me give you this one piece. He taught me that the benefit and value of owing somebody something. Just let that settle for a second. Borrowing something from someone that you actually have no need of, so that you can owe them something, so that you create a connection between you and that person. You are bound together because you've borrowed that thing from them. Yeah, we're going to do an episode on networking. Okay. I can see from the responses, we got to do an episode on networking. But again, these are spaces that I play in, being intentional about meeting people, being intentional about not only meeting them, but recognizing that behind every face is a unique story that God is looking to share with the world. And if this platform, How It All Works, is one of the ways he's using to be able to shine that light, floodlight on all the different unique and intricate and little known skill sets that people have, I'm so happy for that. I'm gonna go ahead and close it out here, but if you guys just hold on for 1 second after the outro plays, just to say, essentially to have the after party. We'll do that in just a second. How It All Works, family. Again, this is part 1 of the season finale. Part 2 is coming up next week. You've seen the flyer. It's going to go up this afternoon, this evening. You'll be able to set a reminder for the live stream for next week, Monday at 5:30 Central Standard Time, 6:30 in the East, 3:30 in the West. And we're going to, again, do this same practice, looking back at the final 7 episodes of season 1. We touched on a lot, folks. We touched on a lot in those final 7 episodes. You're going to want to be in place. I want to say a word of thanks, not only to our panelists throughout the 15 episodes that we've had, but also a word of thanks to you guys who have been faithful in not only coming through week after week to consume, to engage in the comments, but also to share the stream, to encourage all of us, to give us ideas. We shifted the time based on your feedback. This is ultimately a show that we want you guys to be engaged in. We want you to be getting value from. Again, even in this first part of the season finale, I hope that something clicked for you. I hope the light bulb went off. I hope that you were able to peek behind the veil a little bit and figure out, just a little bit how it all works. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.